Okay. Isn't it weird? You can like hear yourself talking.
It's a little weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I feel like it sounds good though.
All right, give me just a minute here.
Don't need this. Don't need this. Need this. Okay. Okay.
I think I'm good.
You know what? I think I'm good. Erica,
I don't know any different.
you good?
Okay.
She's like, this is great. Okay, sorry. Tell me your last.
Suchyta.
Suchyta.
Suchyta. Sue hit a ball.
Sue hit a ball.
Sue hit a insert object here.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay. I got this. Suchyta. Erica Suchyta. Executive Director.
Tis I.
Neenah Historical Society. Am I saying everything correctly?
So far.
Okay. Like I said, who knows, right? We'll wing it. We'll see what happens. Is that on?
Yeah, it's
Well,
already
great.
recording.
Perfect. We always consider like the video version like our behind the scenes.
Oh.
We don't edit that one. We edit this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
So, yeah, if you get up and start dancing, it'll be on the video.
Give him a clap sync. There you go.
And start. No, yeah. All right, here we go. Well, hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Okay, before I forget or say it wrong,
Yeah.
we're here today with Erica Suchyta.
Woo.
Yes.
Did it.
She is the executive director of the Neenah Historical Society, which I think is so cool.
Yes.
This is our first podcast for 2025. We're back.
Oh yeah, it is.
I was missing us a little bit.
Yeah, you were missing in action.
I'm sure all of our fans were as well. We're back. Don't worry. All right, here we go.
In the know in the 920.
All right.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? I can't tell you how long I spent on that. It was quite the ordeal.
It was a long time.
So, well, I mean, Happy New Year, number one,
Number one.
which is, I mean, here we are, 2025. Do you have a New Year's resolution, Erica? Do you do those?
I don't believe in resolutions.
Okay.
Yeah. Make yourself better anytime.
Yeah, anytime, anywhere.
Okay.
Why limit yourself?
I like that. No, I really like that line of thought. But I also think there's a whole subset of people that need some sort of like date and deadline to like,
Try.
I'm going to, yeah, yes. You know what I mean?
You need that burden of society weighing down
Like-
on you. Like,
Yeah, but
do
those
it.
people never last.
January 1, I'll
They
be in the
never
gym,
last. But
you know.
won't be on February 1st.
I know. That's the sad part.
yeah.
I know.
Like, why not just pick a random year out of the month or
Month
out of the year to do your workouts then? Like, oh, I'm going to work out for August when nobody's at the gym.
You know what? I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I just sometimes follow them. All right. Well, Happy New Year. Nick, we have a couple of listings.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got a couple of them right now.
We have 407 Geraldine Court,
Yeah.
which is so pretty. It is in combined locks. 407 Geraldine Court, combined locks. It is listed for $540,000. It is gorgeous.
It's very pretty.
And it's Kimberly Schools. I mean, you can literally walk your children to Jansen Elementary School. That's how close it is.
Yeah,
It's
and you
amazing.
can see the Combined Locks Memorial Park from the backyard.
Yeah.
So,
3 beds, 2.5 baths, 3.5 car-ish garage. It's almost 2,000 square feet, and it is gorgeous.
yeah.
It was built in 2021, so it's not very old either.
And it's got a lot going on.
It does. All right. Then we also have 616 Harold Way, new listing.
Oh, yes.
Super cute.
This is well, it's an Appleton mailing address, but it's technically in Kimberly.
Yep. And it's a twin door or 0 lot line property. 2 beds, 1.5 baths, 2-car garage. It's almost 1,500 square feet. Again, Kimberly Schools.
And there's like a third unfinished bedroom in the basement.
True. There's potential, and there's an egress window in the basement, so there's
Yeah.
potential to really make it a true
Yeah.
third bedroom down there. Yep. Then we have 801 Cora Street in Green Bay. 801 Cora, it's so cute and charming. Built in 1910. Oh, I just love it. The inside has been totally renovated. 4 beds, 1.5 baths, 2-car garage, 2,076 square feet on the main level, and then 336 finished down. So there's quite a bit.
Okay.
I mean, it's 7 minutes from Lambeau for those that go pack.
So
you know?
You could be charging $20 a car.
Exactly.
Get that money.
Get them in your yard. All right, and then the last thing we have is N7051 Everglade Road, which is a lot. It's a lot in Greenville.
Oh.
So, if you would like a beautiful 1-acre treed lot for $159,900,
Okay.
you can have it. Isn't it crazy how much prices have just across the board? Real estate
mean,
prices have just
It's
gone
a
up.
lot, but the price isn't.
Bump. No, it is. It's definitely an investment.
Yeah.
But it is in a super desirable location, Country Meadows subdivision. And again, it's treed. It's really pretty.
Yeah, that's the big thing in Greenville is that there's a lot of space for new construction there, but it's always farmland that you will never see those trees grow by the time you move out of that house.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I would
It's
disagree.
sad, isn't it?
I mean, they'll grow, but
Oh.
maybe not to their full
I mean, you'll never
extent.
see like a full oak tree grow in your yard.
Right.
Is that your goal?
No.
Okay.
I know. I'm like, oh,
on.
really bringing us down here today. How long does it take an oak tree to grow?
Like 50
I mean,
years.
a long time.
Oh, well, I plan on living another 50.
In the same house that you're
Yeah.
going to build on this lot in Greenville?
Good point. No, probably not. By then, if I live another 50 years, most likely I'll be living in
You'll be on a beach somewhere.
a home
Yeah.
and not my own.
Oh.
Oh,
We'll
like
see.
Kevin's waiting room.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
going to go to Florida.
You know, yes. Absolutely.
See, I was trying to be positive with it. Like, yeah, you're gonna have your toes in the sand.
When I'm 95 or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of old,
Thank you.
that's
for
the
that
intro.
segue.
Yeah, that segue. We're going to talk about history
Let's do it.
in Neenah.
So fun.
Yes.
Erica, tell us. First of all,
Would you like
tell
the
us
whole history of the city of Neenah right now
the
in this
whole thing.
podcast?
Start from the beginning. Don't miss a beat.
Okay.
No, but tell us how you got interested in this, how you got started, all of those things, first of all.
Yeah. Always been kind of an old soul. I've always loved history. In fact, the other day I came across my childhood collection of antique wedding photos.
Yeah.
Which is creepy. As a small child, my mom would bring me to antique stores all the time.
I love that.
And I always wanted like the dresses and these
Sure.
really fragile, expensive pieces. And she was like, no.
Yeah.
But somehow I talked her into letting me get an old photograph everywhere we went. So I have all of these. People thought I was weird. They're like,
That's amazing, though.
these dead people in your bedroom. And I was like 12, and everyone else is like, Britney Spears and
Yeah,
NSYNC. And I
right.
was like, creepy old dead people.
I love
Yeah,
that.
you're appreciating something that, somebody valued.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's very sad when things end up at that stage. But anyway, yeah, I've always had an interest in history. My family, or at least one line of my family, has been in the city of Neenah for a long time. Like, I'm 7th generation.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, it is not, we are not paper barons. We owned a tavern on the canal that served chicken dinners to the factory workers.
I love that.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was the 1930s, 40s, 50s,
Wow.
60s. Yeah.
Okay.
My great-great-grandpa was the president of the Tavern League of Wisconsin.
That's
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Claim to fame.
That's so cool.
So I have always had this interest. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, not to rub it in, but I graduated.
Okay. Good job. That's the goal, right? That's the
I
goal.
spent 6 years there.
Well, it took me 5, and I did get a degree, so history and sociology, and I graduated at the height of the Great Recession. And my parents, who are very, very practical corporate business people, my dad specifically, who was an accountant, was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Your
but
dad was probably being an accountant while you were in school and being a mom now. I think about these kinds of things, and my kids are still growing up, but I think about like, what are they going to do? What are they going to major in? Your dad was probably like, oh, great, she's getting a history major.
Yeah, but they were very, I grew up in the era of you just get a degree.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like you get the degree. That's changed now. I think it's much different.
True.
But back in the early noughts, the good
Yep.
old days, it was just get your degree. So I
Get your
did.
degree. Yep.
I graduated and I did a couple years of AmeriCorps with Habitat for Humanity,
That's cool.
which was very cool. And then I did a brief stint in Michigan. So I moved away for 3 years and I had a career in energy efficiency. It's where I met my Detroit-born husband.
Oh.
And we got married and I was like, well, I suppose we could live here. And he's like, let's be real. Like, you're never going to be happy unless you're back in Neenah.
Okay.
So we moved back to Neenah. We had our son in 2017.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, he's great. So he's in first grade. But I used to joke. I was working at another nonprofit in Neenah, and I would joke like, "Oh, my dream job. I want to run the historical society." And people are like, "Yeah, what?" And I was like, "I want to run the Neenah Historical Society."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You're crazy." And then Jane Lang, who was the director for over a decade, she was elected mayor of Neenah, and a position opened up. And the stars aligned, and now I'm living my dream.
I love that.
Cool.
I love that. I mean, that is really cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I have friends who are like, you manifested this.
You did.
Like, it happened for you.
You did. You
Yeah.
made it happen.
And I also have other friends who are like, remember when you said you would do this job for free? And I was like, yeah.
And you're like, well,
Yeah, that's
you know,
no.
I do actually enjoy making money as well.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what does one that is the executive director of the Neenah Historical, like, what does a day look like
Oh
for
my
you?
gosh.
What are some of your tasks?
Yeah, it's never the same,
Okay.
which is fantastic. So, the Historical Society itself was founded in 1948.
Okay.
And it was formed at the home of Helen Kimberly Stewart. She lived in the Double House in Neenah. So
Okay.
if you're on Wisconsin Avenue, it's now blue. It used to be white. It's an enormous duplex that the Kimberleys built in the 1840s. So she got a bunch of Neenah people together, and it was when the state turned 100. So there was
Okay.
like a ton of activity over history, and let's honor our heritage, etc. So up until 1993, the Historical Society didn't have a home.
Oh,
So 1948 to 1993, we were homeless.
okay.
So the Octagon House in Neenah, which is a bit of a landmark, that went up for sale. So the Neenah Historical Society purchased it, and at the time it was 3 apartments. And they renovated it back to what it would have been like when it was constructed in the 1850s.
I love that.
Awesome.
Yep. So that is kind of the pillar of what we do. It was renovated with the intent of going to an Octagon house and experiencing what life would have been like in Victorian era Neenah.
Sure.
So a historic house museum.
That's so cool.
Yeah, well, that's not what it is anymore. So sorry.
She's like, well, that was fun.
It was, but it's shifted over time. So now we do rotating exhibits.
Okay.
So every 18 months we launch a new exhibit. So our sesquicentennial exhibit came down in November. That celebrated the 150-year incorporation of the cities of Neenah and Menasha. So I am in full exhibit mode right now. We are plotting, planning, researching, putting together a new exhibit.
Cool.
I love that. So you're like that's a lot of pressure. I'd be like, okay, it's time for the next exhibit. What are we going to do?
Yeah, and that is tough. It does feel like a big responsibility, right? So the next exhibit that we're doing is very cool, and we're trying to capture people's stories to tell them.
Sure.
One of the, not complaints, but one of the things that we've heard a lot is that there are specific stories in our community that have been told time and time again, right? You know the Kimberly story,
Sure.
you know the Theda Clark story, or you know they're more readily available.
Right.
But how do you share the story of everyday people, because their histories weren't captured
Sure.
in the way that more affluent people's were? So we have been interviewing and doing oral histories. My museum coordinator and our archivist, Miranda Reidner. She's literally back at the office right now transcribing oral histories that she's been doing.
That's so cool.
But yeah, that's the big thing that's on our plate. We do a ton of programming at the library.
Okay.
So in the winter, spring, and fall/winter, we do free monthly library programs. Those topics are always changing. We do events for youth through Parks and Rec. We do an annual cemetery walk at the cemetery.
Shush.
You've never been? We're in year 40, so where have you
I know.
been in the know?
Seriously.
9 to
I
0.
know. I'm not in the know. I need to do that. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it's really
have to do
cool.
that.
And one of the things that we did last year to shake it up was if you know anything about Oak Hill Cemetery, it is the second oldest municipally owned cemetery in the United States.
Ooh.
So it's owned and operated by the city,
Okay.
municipally owned, which is not common. Often you find private burial
Sure.
sites in churchyards, or you were literally buried in the back 40 of your family's farm. But one of the founders of the city of Neenah came from the East Coast, and he knew that it was important to set aside land for burials. So anyway, we've got this beautiful chapel in Oak Hill, and it was just completely restored.
Okay.
So we have been doing the cemetery walk presentations inside of the restored chapel.
That's cool.
So it's really the only current event that is publicly held in the chapel. So if you want to get a peek at this beautifully renovated,
yeah.
historic piece of architecture,
Yes.
that's your time to come.
Okay, so I'm going to need to start paying attention to your website.
Follow us
and-
on Facebook,
Yes, I was gonna say.
Instagram, and our website,
Yeah.
NeenahHistoricalSociety.com.
What? NeenahHistoricalSociety.com. That's so easy.
Wait,
I'm gonna do that.
NeenahHistoricalSociety.com?
I know. Crazy.
Wild.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to do that. That sounds like so much fun. I love that. So you're offering community programs. You're educating the community through exhibits. I mean, that's all just like really, really, really cool stuff.
It is very cool, and we're very unique in that we are a relatively small community that has actual paid staff positions for their historical society. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We do not receive funding from the state, the city. It's all member-based.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so our membership, everyone's like, well, what do I get for becoming a member of the Neenah Historical Society? Well, you get to know that all of these things are happening, right? Like,
Yes.
we are scrappy. We are only two people who work full-time jobs on part-time hours. But we offer a ton of stuff, and we can't do that without the support of people who care to be supporters of our organization.
Sure. That's awesome. Well, and I feel like there's probably a couple people in Neenah that, can contribute nicely.
And outside of Neenah, we love everyone's contributions.
Everyone.
Yes.
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 I live in Kimberly, but I can contribute.
I'll forgive you.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is, all of this is just like fascinating to me because it's just like a different world. I love it. It's not something that you think about every day. I like learning about like jobs that I don't think about every day, And yours is like
Very much.
one of the coolest ones.
Yeah, it is really cool. There are some days where I go home and I'm like, I can't believe that I just got paid to research someone's house
Yeah.
for 4 hours, right? Like, uncovering stories and researching and bringing that all to life. It's really fun.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So do you get to have you toured a lot of homes in the Neenah area?
Yeah, I have. I have been lucky enough to be invited into a few of them. One of the coolest, I think, is the Babcock House on Wisconsin Avenue. So Peter Adams is a historian as well, but he is the current resident, he and his wife Patty, of the Babcock House. They are the only house on Wisconsin Avenue of these paper barons that you see who are directly related to the original inhabitants. Yeah, so he can
That's
trace his
cool.
lineage back to the Babcocks. But it is insane in that literally nothing has changed, at least on the entire first floor. It is exactly as Havilah Babcock
Wow.
built it.
And has it been renovated to look like, or it's the original?
Completely original.
That's cool.
Completely original.
I know. Sign me up for that.
That's hard to maintain.
That is.
So, yeah, with a ton of effort and love. I mean, it's a labor of love. You
Sure.
are living in a museum. You are paying homage to this building, to its history, to its stories. And Neenah is unique in that we have all of these really big historic houses.
Sure do.
We have all of Wisconsin Avenue and the Point, which was kind of known as Park Place, right? This place that you would go to build your enormous estate once you made money, most likely in the paper industry or Kimberly-Clark.
Yeah.
But then we also have historic Doty Island. There was a house on the corner of Forest and Ninth, the Isabel Bacon Smith Johnson house. She was married 3 times. Her home was just listed on the state and national register of historic places, and Flo Bruno and her husband Emmanuel own it. And uncovering that woman's story was bonkers. Like, a divorced single mother in 1895, right? First of all,
That's crazy.
comes to Neenah, casually meets a smith of Menasha Woodenware, and they hit it off, and they marry, and suddenly she's like the wealthiest woman in the state. And then when he dies, she inherits a whole lot of money.
Man, someday, Kelly.
I know.
Girl can dream. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That is incredible. So she's just loaded.
Well, I mean, she was comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other tough thing is like these people have been dead for a very long time. So while I think it's important to tell the story and to bring these interesting facts and perspective to reality, you also don't want to like tarnish anyone's name.
Sure,
Right?
of
Or
course.
like it's easy to make assumptions like, oh, what did you do in 1895 to get divorced? Because we don't necessarily know what the
Right.
grounds for divorce were.
Good point.
But it's still a really cool perspective to share and tell. And that brings all of that to life, right? Growing up in Neenah, you would ride your bike down Wisconsin Avenue to Riverside Park, and you're like, oh my, everyone had their favorite house, right? Everyone had their favorite house on Wisconsin Avenue. And now I think some of the best ones are the small ones because I've learned their stories. And I'm
Sure.
like, that is really fantastic
Yeah.
that a farmer immigrant was able to build a house
Sure.
on the Point.
Yeah, that is. In fact, I think you'll appreciate this. There's times that I just go over there, park my car. I love walking down. I just love everything on Wisconsin Ave is so pretty.
It is, and it's only one part, right? There's a lot of other neighborhoods in Neenah that are really historic and special as well. But I do think when you think about Neenah, I think about our historic downtown, the clock tower, the Point, the lighthouse, Riverside Park, the yacht basin, and popcorn from Dairy Queen.
Popcorn from Dairy Queen.
You haven't lived.
Oh,
You didn't know.
no. Well, now I do.
Well, in the know,
I'm
920.
learning a lot today. Folks,
Yeah.
get to the Dairy Queen in Neenah.
So there's 2 Dairy Queens
their
in
popcorn.
Neenah, but
Okay.
you're going to want to go to the one on the corner of Winneconne
Okay.
and Commercial Street. They sell Archie's Famous Popcorn. It is a secret recipe.
Okay.
Order it with the butter. This is like why you should go to the gym with your New Year's resolution so you can
Right.
get the Archie's popcorn.
Yes.
But yeah, they've been selling it forever, and it's the only place in the world you can get it.
Shush.
I would, yeah.
That's amazing. Like, I want to go there right after this. Like,
Yeah, so to me, like when we get visitors from out of state who come to the Octagon House for a tour, I'm like, oh, how long are you here for? What have you done, etc. I'm like, oh, well, you haven't lived until
Yeah.
you've gone to Dairy Queen, gotten yourself a twist cone
Yes.
with crunch topping,
yes.
and then a bag of Archie's popcorn. You drive around the Point, you enjoy your ice cream, and then you go back to your destination with your bag of popcorn.
I love that.
And then you go to Cranky Pat's for dinner if you're feeling
Oh,
frisky.
Cranky Pat's.
Yeah.
That place is so good.
Neenah Institution.
So good. Yeah, that's a staple.
Yeah.
So, what kind of stories do you want to tell us?
What kind of stories do you want? You want spicy stories? You want...
Yeah. Tell us something good. And it doesn't just have to be about houses, it can be about anything with the history of Neenah. Anything that you want to tell us. Nick, do you have specific questions? A little history nerd that you are?
Specific questions? No, I'm just
Okay.
taking it all in.
Point
Like,
me in a direction.
Okay.
oh wow.
Well, okay, so I have, maybe this is more of an observation. I love, again, big old homes. Love the history, even smaller old homes. Like you said, they're just really, I love the history, thinking about, who lived there, how their life was, what it is today, all the things. So, one of my favorite places in the world is Charleston.
Okay.
I love going there, and I love just touring homes and looking at them. But one thing that I noticed, like the last time I was there, is it seems like one person would build a home, and then the next guy had to build his a little bit bigger, because it was like that's how everybody back in the day like showed their wealth. And I'm not saying that people nowadays don't show their wealth through their homes. People still have nice homes.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like there's other, well, I guess, I mean, there wasn't like cars, right? So they
So think about this. Imagine the year 1880, 1890, right? You most likely immigrated here from the East Coast, right? Relatively well-to-do, wealthy. You came here for business opportunity.
Sure.
You came here to build a factory, to employ people, but ultimately to make money, right? And you did that.
Yep.
But you're living in Neenah, Wisconsin. There's not a lot to do at that time. We didn't have a library, like an actual building, until like 1905?
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. We didn't have an opera house or a theater until the same time. We didn't have a hotel until the 19-teens.
Wow.
So if you wanted to entertain, if you wanted to get people together, you had to do that in your home.
Sure.
So you needed to be all of those things that, we take for granted today.
Right.
Houses don't have ballrooms now.
Right.
Because, well, one, we don't have balls, but people don't do that scale of
I
entertainment.
feel like we should go back to that. Really, truly. It'd be amazing. But you're right. No, and that's a really good point. That's a really good point. People entertained a lot more in their homes. And it's interesting, too, because whenever I go on these house tours, a lot of times there's two different entry points, right, to these big old homes.
Yep.
And it was like, well, this is where the guests came in, and this is where they entertained. And I'm like, wow, I don't ever have anybody at my house.
Yeah, the house on Doty Island I was talking about, that is really interesting in that it has obviously a servant staircase at the back. So you had the big elaborate one in the front, and then in the back, it's much narrower and much steeper. But they had the foresight to actually build servants' quarters. And they were nice ones, right? So you had live-in help, a maid, a cook, a chauffeur. And these houses took an extreme amount of energy, care, and money just to maintain.
Oh, I believe it.
Right? Like the fires needed to be started and everything needed to be swept and dusted and cleaned
Such
and
a good
cooked.
point.
And
Yeah.
laundry, right?
Yeah.
So it was just a completely different time. So you had the people that lived in these giant houses, but then you also have homes that were built in a similar time period that are much more modest.
Sure.
That still have all that character that we love, right? The woodwork and the leaded glass windows and built-ins. I mean, that's what everyone loves in a character house.
Do you live in a character home?
I lovingly refer to my house as the mullet house.
Okay.
Because
Ooh.
it is
Cool.
business in the front and a
Okay.
party in the back.
Okay.
So we've lived in our house for 10 years, and when we moved back to Neenah, I told my realtor at the time that I gave her parameters that were the lake, Cecil, and commercial. And she's like, that's it?
She's like, oh, cool.
And I was like,
We just love it when people do that. But
but
no, that's where you want to be. I mean, hey.
so I live in a historic neighborhood in a house that was built in 1951. So
Okay.
it has built-ins, it has a wrought iron like staircase, it has really sweet features, but it didn't have the price tag of a character house. And to be fair, every time that a house pops up in our neighborhood for sale, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to renovate a kitchen again.
I know.
I don't want to put new windows in again.
Yeah.
So it's been a labor of love, but
Sure.
we love it.
That's awesome. Very cool.
I have to say, so we had some buyers, I think like 2 years ago, that bought a historical house on Doty Island. It was on the Neenah side. And I'm like now that you've mentioned it, I'm just now realizing what that second staircase was for, because I never thought about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because it's a big 3-story house. Like, oh yeah, second staircase. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
We can dream.
I know.
Second staircase.
I know. It's funny too, because I used to say to my husband, when the kids are, done with school, because now they're like 12 and 9 and they're very rooted in their school, right? But when they're done, I said we should buy, like, whenever something would come available, I'd love to buy one of those old homes, big old houses in Neenah, and renovate it. And he's like, Kelly, who are you kidding? Like, kind of going back to your point, we just have a little ranch in Kimberly, but we've redone like every inch of it. And he's like, who are you kidding? You're not going to want to do that again, number one. Number two, you're going to be like 60. I'm like, oh yeah, kind of, good point. Didn't think about any of that.
I think it's really fascinating because I don't think we do a good job in the Valley of taking care of our old inventory. And that's something that, I mean, I've been on that crusade since college, but we love building and we love growing and we love expand. We love our subdivisions here.
Yes.
That is my personal hell.
Everything has to look the same, right? Or so similar.
That would be like a true form of torture if someone put me in a subdivision in a white box and was like, you get to live here.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I agree with you on that. Totally.
But the flip side is that, everyone wants a really nice, pristine neighborhood. And for a long time, I felt like because we stayed in our house, there was a perception that we weren't like financially doing well. And I was like, I just don't want to buy into that.
Right.
I think it's actually much cooler to dig your heels in somewhere and be like, this is home. And I don't need to have everything look like Joanna Gaines.
Exactly.
She's great.
Yes, we
Joe.
love you.
But
everything doesn't have to be that.
No. So that's why I think we were talking about cheap old houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
there is this whole phenomenon on Instagram, and then you can follow accounts called cheap old houses.
I'm going to.
I can't believe you don't.
I know.
Ugh.
This is crazy.
This has been such an education for you.
It really has been. I've learned a lot today.
Okay, so cheap old houses goes around the United States, and they show houses. I think they cap it at like $150,000.
Okay.
$150,000. Sometimes they go higher than that, but the whole idea is that they find these houses with great bones, and people that love old houses buy them, renovate them, love them, turn them into, like what they should be. And I think if we did more of that, I mean, think of the historic neighborhoods we have: Appleton.
It's true. There's
Neenah,
a lot.
Neenah, right? And there's some places that just need a lot of love. And if we had some sort of revitalization program that paid more attention to those neighborhoods, imagine what our landscape would look like.
That's a really good point. That's a really, really good point. I mean, kind of even going back to Charleston, I know that their historical society and things there, like if you buy a house in Charleston, you can only renovate with permission to do everything. And I'm not saying it has to be that deep, but like you said, like let's preserve what we have. Let's take care of what we have.
Yeah, and if you look at Neenah, I think it's so interesting because we're locked in by water, right? Like the only way that we could expand is west.
Sure.
And I guess south. But when I was in high school, if you lived like west of CB, like, ooh, that was town of Menasha. That wasn't Fox Crossing. That was town of Menasha.
Yes.
And now it's like everything is west of 76. Like west of 76, that's
Right.
not even Neenah.
Right.
So you have all of these people coming in, and we love that. But look at our downtown.
Yeah.
We've got this amazing downtown that everyone wants to visit.
It is the best.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I say this all the time. Neenah downtown is my favorite. It is so cute.
It's not only cute, but it's full of people who really care and are doing important work to make the community a destination, right? Like being a small business owner is hard, but
Yes.
there are places down there that have been open forever. And our downtown wasn't always like that. We got hit hard in the 70s and 80s just like everyone else did. We had big stores that had been there for generations that moved out, but you have groups like Future Neenah who came in and they make sure that people are supported. Yeah, and
I love that.
I can walk downtown from my 1951 Colonial.
That is
And that's why I
jealous.
gave my realtor those parameters.
I'm jelly. I'm so jelly. That's one thing. Okay, so I was born and raised Kimberly, okay? And then I moved to Chicago for 10 years and went to college there and graduated.
Sorry.
Poor Nick. But he's actually way smarter than me. He just can't sit still. So anyways, right? It's true. Anyways, I then met my husband in Chicago, and I said, once we had our son, I was like, I want to move back. I want to go home. So here we are. And I thought, what a great idea. Let's just move right back to Kimberly instead of like thinking about, maybe trying something a little bit different. But Kimberly, I love it, but there's technically a downtown. But no offense to
there's not.
all the
You
Kimberly
just got a
people,
Festival
but there's
Foods.
not. Okay, there's
I'm
not.
trying to look at the bright side.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of cool stuff happening downtown Kimberly.
Okay, but that I think too is something that is unique to Neenah, because a sense of place and a sense of home, everyone has that, right? Like everyone has the place where they grew up and that they feel a connection to, which is probably why you
Yeah.
chose Kimberly. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think I lucked out in that Neenah is special.
It's cool.
And I grew up knowing that it was special, right? That you have these things that make it really unique, but also the same as anywhere else in a lot of ways, which is so much of what our next exhibit is going to be out. I can't wait. It's gonna be
I'm
great.
so excited. So when is this going to be out?
Oh,
Is there a hard deadline on this?
yeah, so my internal deadline, we're hoping to launch early April, but the exhibit is going to be called Growing Up Neenah, an All-American Childhood. Ooh. And it's going to focus on the childhood experience in Neenah and what made it fun and unique and special. But also, those are really common things that made growing up anywhere, nostalgic and part of your history.
Sure.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
That is so fun. I love it. What's your favorite? Well, I don't know if you want to say this or not, but like, I feel like you're in the know. You're more in the know in Neenah than us.
Okay.
What's your favorite store?
Oh, my favorite store. Well, that's ambiguous. Like, what am I shopping for?
I guess when I say favorite store, I go more off of a vibe. It doesn't matter what you're shopping. So like, I love Red Door Mercantile.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Well, Tina's lovely. And my neighbor Wendy works there. Shout out to Wendy.
Shout out to Wendy. It is just it's the cutest
Well,
place.
Tina's got a great aesthetic, but she also panders to the people that love Neenah because that's where you go.
Sure.
I mean, I bought my Archie's popcorn Christmas ornament at Red Door.
See, there you go.
I don't know, like my dentist office is downtown Neenah. I went to Great Harvest this morning for scones. I get my tea from Botanical or Natural Indulgences. If I want takeout, I go to Little Siam. If I want to go on a date with my husband, I go to Canova's. I'm going out with my girlfriends, I go to Town Council or Sante because Matt at Sante is my boy. Yeah, I don't know. I just think we're lucky to have everything in a couple blocks.
Very much. Absolutely. I love that so much. All right. So do you want to tell us one more, like just something crazy that in the history of Neenah that you think just when you think of it, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we really stressed in our last exhibit was the Native American history, our indigenous culture, right? So everyone in the Valley is always like, oh, Native American people lived here. What does that mean? Like, who lived here and for how long and what did they do? So the Menominee and the Ho-Chunk were the two indigenous tribes in this area, and they're still here, right? Like, these people and these cultures and their lives are very much still a part of who we are and what we do. It really wasn't until the Treaty of the Cedars in 1836, like 7 million acres of land was ceded to the United States government for pennies.
That's
Pennies on the acre.
insane.
So everything from like Menominee down past Oshkosh, right? The Native Americans just handed over to the government. And then land speculators came in and platted all of these cities.
Sure.
And posted them in newspaper articles for sale. The man that bought Neenah saw it because he operated a newspaper in Milwaukee. and he purchased everything here for $4,700.
I was just going to say.
$4,700. And the best part is that he didn't have the capital to pay for it, so he took it out on a loan.
Oh my gosh.
He took a 3-year loan out from the U.S. government. He ended up going bankrupt, but
Aw.
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have this like really rich, complicated history, and I think people are afraid to talk about it because it makes them feel uncomfortable. But I think history should make you feel uncomfortable, because if we don't talk about it and we don't honor it and we don't acknowledge it, we'll never learn from it. So it's amazing that I love Neenah and you love Kimberly, and these are our hometowns, but they were someone else's hometown
Yeah.
long before we were here. So how do we make sure we pay attention to that and have that in our minds?
I love that. You're obviously you're in the perfect role. Yeah. You're the perfect person for it. So how can people best contribute?
Yeah, so you can make donations or become a member on our website. If you go to NeenahHistoricalSociety.com.
NeenahHistoricalSociety.com. I don't know why we're doing that today.
No, it's okay.
just
I
fun.
love it.
Yes.
There are multiple ways to become involved. I think the best way for people to stay in the know in our 920
Yes.
is to follow us on Facebook.
Okay.
We have a pretty active presence there, and we have all of our upcoming events, and we share just fun things. Like today I did a Facebook post about how we had an airport in Neenah.
Okay, I don't know where. Like, do I live like in a cave or something?
You just don't
I'm
follow
gonna follow.
us.
I'm gonna follow your Facebook page immediately, and I'm definitely gonna try to get on the cemetery walk because that seems amazing. And I'm gonna start watching cheap old houses. I have a lot of things
Yeah.
to do.
Old airports are always a crazy thing to me, too, because, like, Appleton had one, like, where Sam's Club is now. There used to be an airport there.
Oh,
It's like,
So Menasha had
Yeah.
one. It's where the Ace Hardware is on Appleton Road. You can
Okay.
kind of still see what the hangar looked like. But it's interesting. The Neenah one is in what is now called Airport Heights. So it was subdivided and called Airport Heights. But the streets, Curtis, Langley, and Wright, are all named after aviation pioneers. But you wouldn't know that unless you knew the history of it.
see, I just love that. I feel like you're just like a knowledge, like, whew, wow.
Yes, put me on Jeopardy.
How old is the Bergstrom house? And I'm talking like the big guy,
the one next to the
the
hospital.
big one.
What Bergstrom house? To be fair, the Bergstrom family has lived in dozens of houses. Are you talking about the Bergstrom Mahler Museum?
Yes.
Do
Do they live there?
No, it's a
No.
museum.
Oh,
They did
wait a
live
minute.
there.
Hold on. Is that the one? No, maybe I'm thinking of different. This is right by Theta.
Theta.
Yeah. You're thinking of John Bergstrom's actual house.
Yeah, so John Bergstrom's actual house. Hi, John Bergstrom, if you're listening.
Hi.
Hi.
We say hi to him all the time on the podcast.
Oh, hey.
We do. We
John.
want to get him on. John,
Oh.
hello. I know you have nothing else to do.
So their home, there was actually a historic home. The Mayhew Mott home used to be there, and I think they tore it down and built that house.
Okay.
I believe so.
But it's a cool house.
It's cool and it's gorgeous.
Massive.
How long has it been there though? Not that long.
Oh, maybe 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fairly new.
But John and Diane, hi, John and Diane, they have lived in many historic homes. They lived in the Sensenbrenner mansion. They lived, they've lived all over.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by the Bergstroms. Bergstrom, you do a great job. It's fascinated. Seriously, like the other day,
You're just advertising for
I
them
know,
now.
I know. But no, the other day I had to get something fixed on my car and we pulled in the parking lot there and my husband's like, can you just imagine the overhead of like running this kind of an organization? And I'm like, no, I cannot.
I don't want to.
Because I have what I think is a lot of overhead and it's nothing compared to what a big, organization
So, fun
has.
fact, the Bergstrom brothers started out they were a foundry. They made cast iron stoves.
Oh,
And the plant, the factory is still there. It's on Main Street.
okay.
It's Huffmeister Machine Corp now, but if you are looking at it, you can still see the insignia of Bergstrom Brothers.
Oh.
And then they transitioned into paper. So Bergstrom made paper for a very long time.
Okay.
And then transitioned they had a stint in hotels, and then cars.
That's so great. I love how charitable they are. I feel like they just really do a lot for the community as a whole. And yeah.
Yeah, and such a legacy family. I mean, what a responsibility to still be here and contribute in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, we could just talk for hours, and you know what? And we'll do it again another day. I mean, we will.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all this great info. And seriously, everybody, check it out. Like you said, it's one of those things that I think more and more people need to get involved in and pay attention to is the history of things versus just, going to the mall on the weekend. I mean, I go to the mall too, but
You can go to the mall
get
and the
involved.
Historical Society. We'll make it fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. Cool. So now, should we talk about a few fun weekend events?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, I'm first. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see what's happening this weekend in the 920.
All right. Hat burning? What? Okay.
I didn't understand it. That's why you went first.
All right. Hat burning, Friday at 6 o'clock. Bowen Street Market, 2837 Bowen Street in Oshkosh. Learn how to burn your own trucker, western, or rancher hat. All levels of artists are welcome.
From the photos, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so it says start off by listening to an instructor. It's a lead tutorial on different ways to burn your hat. And then there will be multiple techniques demonstrated from freehand drawing to transferring a pre-made design. Finish up at the hat bar where you can choose unlimited amounts of ribbons and embellishments to create a coordinating hat brand. You'll receive one hat of your choice, caramel, black, or light brown. Okay, $97.
Oh, fun.
So check that out, I guess. Bowen Street Market. That's really cool. Like, that's what I love about our weekend events is we try to find things for everyone. That's not something I would have ever thought of, but it's really cool. All right, Nicholas, what do you got?
Okay. So, cool history one here. Well, it's not as much history, but it's called Way to Glow, Family Discovery Days at the Oshkosh Public Museum, 1242 High Avenue, Oshkosh. Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're lighting up the dark and learning about bioluminescence.
I'm
Join
glad
us
that you
for
read that word
glow.
properly. Thank you.
I love bioluminescence.
I was waiting for him to.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyways, learn about bioluminescence. Join us for glow-in-the-dark crafts and make the unseen seen. Plan your visit at oshkoshmuseum.org. All materials are provided. Family Discovery Days at your Oshkosh Public Museum. Welcome families to learn, make, and laugh together every second Saturday. Drop in anytime between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the museum for a fun craft led by museum staff. Discovery Days are for young learners ages 5 to 10, but all ages are welcome to participate. You never know what you might discover.
Very cool. Okay, I've got Herbal 101. Beginners Herbalism class. Do you say herbal or herbal?
I say herbal. I do the French pronunciation.
The H is silent.
Is the-
Herbal.
That's what I thought. But I'm like, am I weird? Am I saying it weird? I don't know.
But
Yeah, I mean, weird, we know. Saturday, 11 o'clock, Aurora's Apothecary. 1607 North Richmond Street in Appleton. Ready to start your journey in herbalism. Join us for Herbal 101, an introductory class designed to teach you the basics of working with herbs.
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 Whether you want to grow, forage, harvest, or preserve your own herbs, this class is your perfect starting point.
It's in here a couple more times.
Okay, so that's this Saturday. That's this Saturday at 11 o'clock. Cost is $65. All right, so that's happening again at Aurora's Apothecary. Okay, Nick, you're next.
You skipped the rest of the uses of herb.
Okay.
All right, so next up we've got Winter Wonderland. Saturday, 8 a.m., Sunday, 1 p.m. at Wonder Play Cafe, 15 North Main Street in Fond du Lac. Get ready for a magical winter adventure at Wonder on Saturday, January 11th and Sunday, January 12th. We're turning our space into a winter wonderland for a weekend of snowy fun and creativity. No ticket required. Activities included with open play all weekend. Come by to enjoy Snowflake Craft Station.
Oh.
Let your imagination soar as you create dazzling snowflake crafts, perfect for the kids and grown-ups to make special keepsakes together. winter sensory bins. Ooh, you can also do a winter-themed play area. And let's see. Special winter experiences included with your playtime admission. No extra ticket needed. Bundle up and join us for a delightful winter celebration. We can't wait to see you at our winter wonderland.
Well, that's great. My only requirement is then after the weekend, then winter's done.
Yep. No
We're
more.
into spring.
Just get that groundhog out.
Exactly. Brunch. Oh, here we go. Now this,
Yes.
first of all, anything with brunch is up my alley, but brunch and baby goat snuggles. Like, okay, what? You don't need anything else. Sunday, 10 to 12. This is at the LeClaire Cheese Shop.
Yeah, and we mentioned them a lot, but they do cool
They
activities.
do fun stuff,
so-
yeah. W2994 County Road HH in Malone. Join LeClaire Creamery for bubbly brunch and baby goat snuggles. Our baby goats will even be dressed in their Sunday best. Stop. Our cafe will feature breakfast specials including sandwiches, wraps, French toast, scones, and $3 mimosas. Folks will get a chance to interact and hold a baby goat with a $10 minimum purchase. 10 to 1 on Sunday. Ugh, I'm going to have to get there for that. That seems amazing. Who doesn't want to snuggle a baby goat?
LeClaire is like the best place.
Like,
It's such a beautiful drive out there, and then it's just the coolest.
well, this is really good to know. I've learned a lot today, and I have a lot of assignments, but hey, that's good. That's what we're here for, right? So, again, thank you so much, Erica, for being with us today.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Get out and do some of these fun things in our community because we do have a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And
Get involved.
yeah, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To contact the Kelly Davies Homes team for all of your buying and selling needs, call 920-791-9047. Find us on Facebook at the Kelly Davies Homes team or go to kellydavieshomes.com.